Welcome to Learn with Lili. Today we are starting with Universal Science, Class 4, Chapter 1. And the name of the chapter is Adaptations in Plants, Stepping Stones. In the provided boxes, write L for the plants that grow on land and W for the plants that grow in water. Lotus and water lily grow in water, while coconut, rose, mango, and cactus grow on the land. Plants are found everywhere on the earth: land, water, oceans, rivers, deserts, and mountains. These places are different from each other. Some of these places receive more rainfall while some places are very dry. Some places experience snowfall and are very cold, while some places experience high temperature and humid conditions. The soil also differs from place to place. It can be sandy, clayey, or loamy. Different types of soils can hold different amount of water and nutrients. Hence, plants develop special features to live successfully in their unique surroundings. This helps them to survive and grow. An adaptation is a change in the body or behavior of an organism that helps it to survive. For example, a cactus that has adapted to live in deserts cannot grow in marshy land. Similarly, pine tree will not grow in the desert. All living things, animals, and plants adapt to their surroundings to survive. The natural home of a plant or an animal is called its habitat. Adaptation in plants. Plants can be placed under two major groups according to their habitat. Terrestrial plants. Plants that grow on land are called terrestrial plants, and aquatic plants. Plants that grow in water are called aquatic plants. Remember, an adaptation can be physical or behavioral. Both animals and plants adapt. Living organisms that cannot adapt to changes in their environment become extinct. Now, terrestrial plants. Terrestrial plants are found in different types of terrestrial habitats such as deserts, marshes, plains, forests, grasslands, and coastal regions. Now, let's learn about deserts. Deserts are areas of land that receive little or no rain. The temperature during the day is very high. It is hot, dry, and sandy in deserts. Due to the low rainfall, very small amount of water is available in the deserts. The water is present deep under the ground. Due to the scarcity of water in deserts, only few plants grow there. The desert plants, also called xerophytes, have adapted themselves to obtain water from the ground and also minimize water loss from their body parts. As you can see, this is the picture of a cactus plant in the desert. A cactus plant that is found in desert shows the following adaptations. It has succulent stem which can store large amounts of water. The leaves of the cactus plant are modified into thin and sharp spines which prevent the loss of water through transpiration. Transpiration is the process by which water is lost through the stomata of leaves. This is the palm tree. The roots of the cactus plant grow very deep into the ground and spread out wide to absorb as much water as possible from the ground. Palm and acacia are some examples of the desert plants. Now hills. The temperature in the hills varies from cold to extremely cold. During winters, there is snowfall in some areas. Sometimes, days can be very windy too. Trees that grow on the hills have adapted themselves to survive the cold and windy conditions. Pine, spruce, fir, and cedar are examples of trees found in hilly areas. Trees found on the hills have a conical shape. You have learned in previous classes that houses present in the hills have sloping roofs. Do you remember why? So the snow will fall off easily from them. A pine tree that is found on the hills shows the following adaptations. Pine trees have a conical shape. Due to this shape, water and snow easily slides down the leaves and does not settle on it. The leaves of the pine tree are needle-shaped. They are tough and coated with wax. Thus, they do not get damaged by extreme cold. The leaves hang downwards to reduce water loss by transpiration. The roots grow deep into the soil so that the trees can withstand against strong winds that blow on the mountains. Coniferous trees do not shed their leaves. They are called evergreen trees as they remain green throughout the year. Let us perform an activity to demonstrate how shapes of trees and their leaves help them to survive in their habitat. Activity 1. 1. Fold a sheet of newspaper 3 or 4 times and cut round the edges to make a circle. Now, fold the circle into half and tape the edge together to make a cone. 2. Take another sheet and fold it. Roll it into a cylinder shape. Now, take a cardboard and paste it to the open mouth of the cylinder with the help of glue and adhesive tapes as shown in the figure. 3. Place the corn and the cylinder in separate trays. 4. Pour sand uniformly through a bucket on them, one by one. Which shape do you find remains standing, the cone or the cylinder? The cone. Which shape of the tree is able to withstand firmly on the mountains when it snows heavily? The cone shape. Now marshes. Marshes have plenty of water and clayey soil. In clayey soil, there are very little air spaces between the soil particles. Plants in marshes have adapted themselves to obtain air. They are also adapted to bear the constant water movement without causing any damage to their body parts. Mangrove trees grow in marshes. Their roots do not get air under the soil, so they grow special roots above the soil to breathe. Such roots are called breathing roots. Plains. Plains mostly have a moderate climate. It is neither too hot as in the deserts nor too cold as in the hills. Plains receive sufficient rainfall. In India, trees such as peepal, gulmohar, shisham and teak shed their leaves in winter season to protect themselves from the cold weather. Such trees are called deciduous trees. In spring season, new leaves grow on these trees. Trees such as coconut, mango, and banyan grow in hot and damp regions. They are evergreen trees. This is the picture of banyan tree, this is the mango tree, and this is the kumar tree. Now grasslands. Grasslands are large areas of land covered with grasses and wild flowers. The plants are adapted to develop deep roots in order to absorb water from deep in the soil. This makes the soil rich in nutrients and suitable for farming. Roots also bind the soil together. Grasslands receive very less rainfall. Therefore, the amount of tall trees or bushes are very less in grasslands. However, small trees are scattered throughout the grasslands. Foxtail and ryegrass are some examples of plants that are found in grasslands. Coastal regions. Certain regions near sea coasts receive high rainfall and the water can be salty. Coconut, rubber, and pepper are some plants that grow in these regions. Coastal trees do not shed their leaves in winter season. As you can see the picture of coconut tree, pepper, and rubber tree leaves. Forests. Forests are regions that are thickly populated with different kinds of plants. They experience heavy rainfall. Many varieties of trees, shrubs, and herbs are found here. Forests are home to a wide variety of animals and birds. The leaves of plants growing in the forests have waxy coating with pointed tips. These allow water to drain away from the leaves. Also, the soils found in the forests are shallow. Plants growing in these soils have special roots that help them to stand firmly in the soil. Orchid, mahogany, rosewood, and sandalwood are some examples of plants that are found in forests. Run through. Terrestrial plants grow on land. They are found in various habitats such as plains, mountains, deserts, marshes, forests, grasslands, and coastal regions. Terrestrial plants are adapted to survive according to their habitat. Now, track your progress. 1. Give one example of a plant growing in each of the following regions. In the hills, pine tree, marshes, mangrove, grasslands, foxtail, deserts, cactus, plains, banyan, and coastal regions, coconut. Now let's learn about aquatic plants. You must have seen plants growing in ponds or lakes. Plants that grow in water are called hydrophytes or aquatic plants. There are 3 types of aquatic plants: floating plants, fixed plants, and underwater plants. Floating plants. These plants float freely in water. These plants can float with the flow of water as they do not have roots. Water hyacinth and water lettuce or pistia are some examples of floating plants. Floating plants have spongy bodies that are filled with air. This makes them light and helps them to float on water. Duckweed or wolfia is another example of a floating plant. Their floating leaves have chlorophyll only on the top of the surface. Fixed plants. These plants have roots that are fixed to the mud at the bottom of the ponds. They have adapted so that they can float, get enough air and sunlight to make food, and prevent damage by flowing water. Lotus and water lily are some examples of fixed aquatic plants. Wonder box. Bamboo is the fastest growing plant. It has been found that it grows up to 91 centimeter or 35 inches per day. Fixed aquatic plants have long and hollow stems with large air spaces. This helps the plants to stay afloat. Their soft and flexible stems bend with the flow of water. This prevents them from getting damaged by strong water currents. Their flat and broad leaves helps these plants to get sufficient air and sunlight. The waxy coating on their leaves prevents them from rotting. Unlike most green plants, fixed aquatic plants have stomata present on the upper surface of the leaves. Such adaptive features helps these plants to perform gaseous exchange from their surroundings. Let us perform an activity to understand the importance of a waxy coating on the leaves of aquatic plants. Activity 2. Dip your fingers in a bowl of water for 10 minutes. You will notice that the skin of your fingers gets wrinkled. Why do not the leaves of aquatic plants get wrinkled? This is because the aquatic plants have a waxy coating on the surface of leaves, which prevents them from absorbing excessive water and getting wrinkled. Underwater plants. Some plants remain completely beneath the surface of water. They are also called submerged plants. They have adapted to breathe underwater. Hydrilla and tea grass or Vallisneria are underwater plants. Their roots fix them to the bottom of the pond. They have thin, flexible stems and finely dissected leaves that offer little resistance to water currents. Hydrilla has tiny leaves while tape grass has narrow, ribbon-like leaves which bend in the flowing water. They breathe through small air spaces present in their stem. The leaves of underwater plants do not have stomata. These plants are adapted to absorb carbon dioxide and oxygen from the water. Run through. Plants that grow in water are called hydrophytes or aquatic plants. They are of three types: floating, fixed, and underwater plants. These plants are adapted to live on the surface or beneath the surface of water. The leaves of aquatic plants are adapted to offer minimum resistance against the flowing water. Under the submerged condition, leaves of these plants absorb carbon dioxide and oxygen from the water. Track your progress. 2. Fill in the blanks. A. Spongy body helps aquatic plants to stay afloat in water. B. The leaves of a floating plant have chlorophyll on the top of the surface. C. Waxy coating on the leaves of underwater plants prevent them from absorbing excessive water and getting wrinkled. D. Underwater plants are also called submerged plants. Glossary. Adaptation. A change in the body or behavioral of an organism to suit the environment. Aquatic plants. Plants that grow in water. Deciduous trees. Trees that shed their leaves in winter. Evergreen trees. Trees that do not shed their leaves. Habitat. The natural home of a plant or an animal. Moderate climate, neither too cold nor too hot. Terrestrial plants, plants that grow on land. And transpiration means the process of losing water through the stomata of leaves. Assessment zone. A. Tick the correct answer. 1. Which of the following is not an example of a plant that grows on hills? Coconut. 2. Which of the following plants has breathing roots? Mangrove. 3. Which of these trees shed their leaves in winter? Deciduous trees. 4. Which of the following plants grow in coastal regions? Coconut. And 5. Which of the following places has a moderate climate? The plains. B. Find the odd one out and give reasons for your answers in the space provided. Number 1 is cactus because it grows in deserts. Number 2, lotus, it is a fixed plant. Number 3, mango, it is an evergreen tree. Number 4, mangrove, it grows in marshes. And the last one is palm because it is not a floating plant. C. Fill in the blanks using the words given in the box. Number 1, tape grass is a submerged plant. Number 2, spruce is a plant that grows on the hills. Number 3, hollow stems keep the aquatic plants afloat. Number 4, roots help the desert plants to absorb water from the soil. And the last one is water lily is a fixed aquatic plant. Answer the questions. You will refer to the notebook and just here. The general knowledge part is Ayurveda is an Indian traditional system of medicine that uses various parts of plants to make medicines. Question number 1. Answer the following questions. 1. Define habitat. The natural home of a plant or an animal is called its habitat. Number 2. Name the different types of terrestrial habitats. The different types of the terrestrial habitats are as follows: desert, hills, grasslands, forests, marshes, coastal regions, and plains. Number 3. Why do desert plants need adaptation? Answer. Desert plants need adaptation for 1. To store large amount of water, 2. To prevent the loss of water through transpiration, and 3. To absorb as much water as possible from the ground. Question number 4. Why do aquatic plants have spongy bodies? Answer. Aquatic plants have spongy bodies that are filled with air. This makes them light and helps them to float on water. Question number 5. Differentiate between deciduous trees and evergreen trees and give 2 examples for each. Deciduous trees. These trees shed their leaves seasonally. And evergreen trees, these leaves keep their leaves throughout the year. Number 2. These trees are adapted to tolerate cold and dry weather conditions. These trees are not adapted to tolerate cold and dry weather conditions. And examples are peepal and banyan. And for evergreen tree, we can say pine and spruce. Question number 6. Differentiate between cactus plant and pine tree. For cactus plants, we have cactus plants are found in deserts. These plants have adapted themselves for hot, dry, and sandy conditions, and the leaves of the cactus plants are modified into thin and sharp spines, which prevents the loss of water through transpiration. For the pine tree, we can write that pine trees are found in the hills. These plants have adapted themselves for cold and windy conditions, and the leaves of the pine trees are needle-shaped. They are coated with wax. They do not get damaged by extreme cold. The next question, what is the difference between the roots of a mangrove and a floating aquatic plant? Answer. Mangrove trees grow in marshes. Their roots do not get air under the soil, so they grow above the soil to breathe. And floating plants do not have roots and they float with the flow of water. Question number 8. State 3 adaptations for the following types of plants, for xerophytes and for hydrophytes. For xerophytes, they have succulent stem which can store large amount of water. The leaves are modified into thin and sharp spines which prevent loss of water to transpiration, and the roots are deep and widespread under the soil to absorb water. For the hydrophytes, we have number 1. Floating plants have spongy bodies filled with air. This keeps them light and helps them to float on water. Number 2. Fixed aquatic plants have long and hollow stems. This helps plant to afloat. Soft and flexible stem bend with the flow of water. And number 3. The waxy coating on the leaves prevents them from rotting. Next question. Give reasons for the followings. The trees in hills have conical shape. Answer. This shape allows water and snow to slide down the leaves easily. B. Leaves and cactus are modified into spines. This shape prevents the loss of water through transpiration. C. The leaves of aquatic plants have a waxy coating on them. Waxy coating on the surface of the leaves of aquatic plants prevents them from absorbing excessive water and getting wrinkled. Mangrove trees have breathing roots. Mangrove trees have breathing roots because they grow in the marshes. Their roots do not get air under the soil, so they grow above the soil to breathe. And the last one is tape grass has ribbon-like leaves. Answer. Tape grass has a narrow ribbon-like leaves which bend in the flowing water. This finely dissected leaves offers little resistance to water current. And the workbook. Worksheet number 1. Fill in the blanks. 1. Plants that grow in water are called aquatic plants. 2. Cactus has succulent stem which can store large amount of water. 3. Coniferous trees do not shed their leaves and remain green throughout the year. 4. Roots of mangrove trees grow above the soil to breathe. And 5. Peepal trees shed their leaves in winter seasons and so they are called deciduous trees. B. Find the odd one out and give reasons for your answers. Number 1 is banyan because it is a deciduous plant whereas others are evergreen. 2 is peepal because it is a deciduous plant whereas others are evergreen. 3. Pine. It grows in hills whereas others found in deserts. And 4. Mangrove because it grows in marshes whereas others grow in hilly areas. C. Match the followings. Number 1. Trees having conical shape. Hills. Number 2. Roots grow deep in the ground. It is in deserts. Number 3. Moderate climate, sufficient rainfall belongs to the plains. And number 4. Roots grow above the soil. It is in the marshes. Worksheet number 2. Classify the following as fixed, floating, or underwater plants. Water lettuce is floating. Lettuce is fixed. Hydrilla is underwater. Water lily is also fixed. Tape grass is underwater. And duckweed is floating. B. Choose the correct answer. 1. Which of the following plants is found in grasslands? Foxtail. Number 2. Which of the following is not an example of plants found in forests? Coconut. Number 3. Which of the following plants grow in coastal regions? Rubber. Number 4. Which of the following is not a hydrophyte? Orchid. And number 5. Which of the following plants remains completely beneath the surface of water? Hydrilla. C. Give an example for each of the following. Number 1. Plants with long and hollow stems with large air spaces. Lotus. 2. Plants with special roots to help them stand firmly in soil. Orchids. 3. Plants in region with high rainfall and salty water. Rubber. 4. Plants with deep roots to absorb water from deep in soil. It is cactus. And the last one, plants with spongy bodies that are filled with air. It is water lettuce. Worksheet 3. A. Identify the plant and region in which it is found. Number 1 is palm tree and it is found in desert. Number 2 is pine tree and the region is hills. Number 3, it is mangrove and the region is marshes. Number 4 is a banyan and it is found in the plains. And number 5 is coconut and found in the coastal regions. State true or false. Number 1. Stem of pine tree can store large amount of water. False. Number 2. Leaves of cactus plants are modified into spines to prevent water loss due to transpiration. True. Number 3. Water hyacinth has spongy body that is filled with water. False. Number 4. Fixed aquatic plants have short stems with no air space. False. And 5. Foxtail has deep roots to absorb water from deep in the soil. This is true. Write 1 characteristics of following regions and how the plants have adapted to grow in that region. Marshes. They are adapted themselves to obtain air. In plains, they shed their leaves in winter to protect themselves from the cold weather. Underwater regions. They have adapted to breathe with small air spaces present in their stem underwater. And grasslands. They adapt themselves to develop deep roots to absorb water from deep in the soil. And number 5, forests. They have waxy coating with pointed tips that allows water to drain away from the leaves. So, if you enjoyed my video, please do like, share and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.